we've got sort of the same thing, we've written so many songs, him and me, we've written many songs and we've recorded them up, and sometimes we don't see anything to do with it. We sort of develop what to do with our other artists.
But well, the one on Robby's record, Truth to Power, was originally on our record, but we gave it to him because it fit perfect. Changed some of the lyrics.
Yeah, it was a totally different song lyrically, But and another song that I wrote a long time ago, called Downtown Royalty, I redid it for the Robby album because we had some songs that would fit the map.
Listen to the Vibes.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Listen to the Vibes. I have to say, I am very, very excited. I am very pleased and very happy to have Michael and Timothy Franklin here with me. They have an album coming out called Anahata, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to hear some great stories, and before we get into it, guys, I'll let you fight it out. Who's going to talk first? Tell me a little bit more about yourselves.
Hey, okay, you want to go way back. Mike wanted a guitar for his birthday when you were what?
I don't know, I think
11, 12 years old. Yeah. He got one, so I had to get one now because
actually we got a picture of when I got my guitar. He got my old one.
Okay.
So you got a guitar. We actually have a picture of that Christmas of us.
Yeah, it was like, man, we're like 9 and 13 years old.
I went
9,
on
12 years old. Something.
I went on to the keyboard because there were so many guitar players out there, and there was a local band that needed a keyboard player. I never played the keyboard before, and so I went into a recording studio because the band I was playing with won a little contest to record your song. Mm-hmm. So I had to go into the studio to play the organ they had. They had an old Lowry organ. And I just played, my solo was like 3 notes, but then my parents went out and bought me a keyboard, and then I was off to the races. It was, I started learning all that. I was still playing guitar. And after I was in band for a while, Tim picked it up, and then
I was into art mostly because I was too young to be in a band at the time. So when I was in middle school and high school, I was, drawing and painting, and that was, I thought I was going to be an artist, doing album covers and all that stuff. But I had horrible art teachers in my high school. My senior year, I had a great music teacher. Luckily, I started playing bass. I didn't start playing bass until I was 17.
Luckily, my bass player, who was a decent bass player, we weren't getting along on a musical direction. And then he left, and I'm thinking, oh, this is cool, because then my brother was getting pretty good. I bring him into the band.
I was in a band in Chicago called Riff Raff. It was a 10-piece horn band, 3 singers up front, 3 horns, 4-piece rhythm section, doing Earth, Wind, and Fire and all the disco stuff in Chicago. And I quit the steel mill because when I turned 18, the only way to make money in Indiana was work the steel mill. So that taught me I never wanted to work at the steel mill. So I quit and got in a band, this Riff Raff band, making $100 a week on the road. And then when his bass player decided to leave, he was like, I can go home and make more money than hanging out with all these clowns. It was a circus, really. 10 guys on the road. It was just nuts. So
and we started playing like the club circuit, and we played, all over the Midwest, different hotels, Holiday Inns, and
steak and
ales and that kind of stuff. And then our boss sent us down to Florida one time, and we played down in Florida. We loved it. By the time we got back to Chicago, we got fired for playing too much jazz in our sets. But then the oldies thing came along, and that was
and in the intro we played some jazz. we got a trio gig. We went, there was this restaurant where we lived, and they had a grand piano, and the guy that owned the place played his 4 songs a night. That's all he knew. And Mike went in there and said, "Hey, do you think we could come in here and play for free and see how it goes?" So we went in there and played a trio, played some jazz. We did some like pop stuff, and we ended up working there for 2.5 years,
Yeah.
playing 3 nights a week.
Yeah.
And then we had another quartet night at another place and another quintet night at another place. So we were playing jazz 5 nights a week in northern Indiana back in
we were getting pretty trained.
78, 79.
And when the oldies thing came in, where a lot of bands were playing like straight ahead rock, and we were too. We were playing like, you know, my band, we were doing Emerson, Lake and Palmer and Yes and all kinds of stuff. We didn't think that the oldie stuff was crap. We thought it was like, man, you know, like the foundation of what we did. And then we took it seriously. And when we played with all the oldies acts, they felt good about it. They felt good that, oh man, you know, these guys take it seriously. They're not, and they're doing it like it was. They're not playing, you know, at the hop with power chords, you know.
We've seen some of these oldies acts where the guys come in leather, you know, and they got like the band looks like, you know, Metallica, and they're all trying to be hip. It to go, you know, down, 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 but you know. I remember, you know, the first band I ever played with Mike in 1973 in Chesterton Park. We had a band called Opus. We did 2 gigs. We rehearsed for 6 months. Our song list was Heart of the Sunrise, Roundabout, Dragon Song by John McLaughlin, Honky Cat by Elton John, Nantucket Sleigh Ride. It was some pretty, it was some pretty tough stuff for my first band, you know?
Right. That's quite an array.
Our pre, you know, celebrity life is not interesting to his people.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. You know,
I find it very interesting.
That's all our prep work. But I mean, like I was telling you before, you know, all the stars were all amazed by all the different people that we played with. They're like, you played with that guy? You played, you know, we just played with so many people. And it was great because you learned all your music. You know, you had to woodshed, you know, everything from, I mean, you know, we did Brian Wilson, you know, did all the Beach Boy stuff, learned all the Beach Boy harmonies and stuff. We played with Rick Wakeman. We learned all that stuff, you know, played with Patrick Moraz of Yes and the Moody Blues. And that was probably the most complicated stuff we played with until we started playing with Jon Anderson. You know, I mean, that was like doing math at the same time you're playing music.
Well, we were at the Hard Rock. We played with Bobby Kimball from Toto. We did all the Toto stuff.
Oh, man, love Toto.
Edgar Winter was not, you know, that was not a piece of cake. You know, I mean, our very first show at the Hard Rock, we opened up for Bad Company with Pat Travers doing, you know, Boom, Go the Lights and snorting whiskey, drinking cocaine. And then we did Rick Derringer, and then we did Edgar, and then Edgar brought Rick out, and we did Frankenstein. You know,
yeah, with our 10-piece band,
10-piece band
with Travers, Derringer, and Edgar. I mean,
Liberty on drums. Charlie DeChant from Hall & Oates was our sax player, and Steve Walters from the Temps was our trumpet player, and Tommy Calton from the Meters was our guitar player. It was a pretty badass band. A lot of videos out there. There's some on YouTube, right?
Yeah, that whole concert's on YouTube.
Oh, I gotta find it then.
You know, there's so much of the stuff that's out there on YouTube, especially the stuff that we played when we were with Wolfman Jack. There's libraries out there called AJ's Jukebox, where we're playing with everybody from Roger McGuinn from the Byrds and Spencer Davis and you know, every oldies act, every oldies act you can imagine. And then we did a bunch of shows in Baltimore and in Nashville
for the second season. And none of those are on YouTube.
You can't find any of those.
Yeah.
I mean, with
Mitch Ryder and
Johnny Rivers, Question Mark, and the Mysterians.
Peter Noon. We'll see Peter Noon in a month. We're playing with Tommy Rowe up in Jersey. Us, Herman's Hermits and Tommy Rowe.
Wow.
Also, you could see we did a show. One of the first pay-per-views was called Fabian's Good Old Rock and Roll Show, live from Baton Rouge. 80,000 people.
Yeah.
It was Little Anthony, the Coasters, the Diamonds, the Crystals,
Chubby Checker.
Little Anthony, Chubby closed the show. There was 9 acts on the show altogether. We played 8 of them, and then Chubby closed the show.
And, you know, cool thing about that show, was that the union guy came to the show to check everybody's union papers, right? And the mayor was there, and he wanted trouble. So what they did, the policeman put the union guy in the car. They drove him around the city for 3 hours
until the show was
Until
over.
the show was over.
What?
I wanted to stop the show
He wanted
because
to stop the show.
it wasn't union. There was no union papers filed. So they just drove him around until the show was over. So he couldn't stop the show.
Man.
But the Anahata thing is a product of I got a recording studio early on and was recording. That's actually how we did our first sessions with Danny and the Juniors. I got into production early. I wanted to be on this side of the window because then I could work with, all these other people, not just be a piano player in somebody's band, but I could work with, I've been second banana to Rick Wakeman and Bruce Hornsby and
So one of the
Chuck Lavelle and,
one of the things that started this road was Mike was a Korg player, and he went to do a Korg clinic, and there weren't enough hotel rooms, so he got stuck rooming with Chuck Lavelle.
No kidding.
The Stones.
so Chuck and I have been
So they became lifelong friends.
lifelong friends.
And we
That's
went.
awesome.
They brought us over to England. I was playing the Korg effects pedals that they had, and we went to England. We played with Rick Wakeman at Ronnie Scott's and this guy named Brian Chatton, who was in a band with Jon Anderson years and years ago. So Brian ended up moving to Indiana and recording some stuff at our studio. Do you remember I Want to Be a Cowboy? I
Oh
Want
yeah.
Cowboy. Well, we did the original rhythm tracks for that and didn't know it. I was in the original video.
It was in the original video.
Riding a horse and shit,
No kidding.
And Brian and Jon wrote these songs together out in California, and Brian came back to Florida. He was hanging out here, and we played on 4 of the songs. Was it 4, 5?
No, he sent me 4 songs to orchestrate. We had
Right.
a bunch more, but we did those 4 songs and sent them back, and we were going to have an album. But then
we did a thing with Tony K in the same
Oh,
studio,
yeah.
Studio Z, because Brian and Tony were buddies from way back before Yes. They were buddies,
Mhm.
So Jon went out with Yes again, and we went on our way and totally forgot about those songs.
until Tim and I have both played with Iron Butterfly at different times.
Yeah, we never together.
We never
We
together.
both played with Iron Butterfly, but at different.
So one time I'm playing the Bakersfield Music Festival with Iron Butterfly, and I realized Jon doesn't live too far away, and I just got married, and my wife had never seen California before, so we said, okay, we're gonna go there on this festival, and then we're gonna go drive around California on a vacation, since we're already there. So I called Jon. We met up. We started talking about the album again. And then he said, yeah, man, let's work towards that. And then I got the old tapes that we had originally used in the 90s and had them baked, put them to digital. And, it was a lot of synthesizer work that Brian had done.
It was dated. It was 20 years old.
Yeah, synthesizers were kind of dated. And I thought, okay, well, at the time, Tim was working with Larry Coryell. Larry came in and played. He was the first person to play on the 1,000 Hands album, a celebrity, right?
Right.
And he played guitar on it. And then I'm thinking I called Ian Anderson and asked Ian if he knew a good flute player. You got to know the guy, first off. I mean, he's very, very dry. I mean, have you ever heard him laugh?
No,
he never laughs, right?
he's really, really,
Really
dry.
dry.
He's the kind of guy you'd meet at the counter at Ace Hardware.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's dead. You would never know he was a rock musician.
He's a very, very intelligent guy, very serious. And I mean, he's a genius, but, he's doesn't suffer any fools. And I'm probably a fool. And so anyway, I started putting celebrities on the Jon Anderson record. Jon gets,
So I used to watch Billy Cohbam, my Vishnu. We used to be back to back on tours. I'd love to have Billy play on. Somebody calls Billy up. Billy plays on it.
And then I'm
then
doing
more and more people want to. The more they say, "Oh, Billy Cobham's on this," yeah, I'll play on it.
So anyway, I end up calling all these people that I know and I've worked with on the periphery, working on the Wolfman Jack show, working at the Hard Rock, whatever. And you realize, man, the networking is spidering. I mean, this guy knows that guy, and this guy knows that guy, and next thing you know, I've got like John was really into the time when I was first working on the album. He was into a band called Zap Mama, which is an African band that lives in Belgium. And so I got a hold of them as a surprise. And her name is Marie. She sang all these bizarre parts that got on the record, I mean, the list of people from Tower of Power, Pat Travers, the Les Dudek to Rick Derringer.
And it already had Alan White and Chris Squire on some tracks, bits and pieces. And some of Chris's parts had kind of, the fidelity had degenerated over the years. So I had to record over some of his parts. I played exactly what he played. I mean, he came up with the stuff. He's Chris Squire.
And then of course I used the orchestra and I used the choir. And after when the thing was just about baked, the whole thing was just about done. We had one song that Brian wrote was called Now, and it was a little 2-minute song. It was the same thing 3 times. So I cut it up into 3 pieces and it's at the beginning of the record. It's just John and an acoustic guitar. The middle of the record, it's like a Vivaldi string octet, string octet. And at the end, I did it sort of like electronica. And then, so, it's going along, and we had a classical guitar player that we know, very, very good, who plays in the band Death. He's also a classical guitar player and a teacher here at school, Bobby Cohbam. Bobby played a beautiful classical guitar thing on it. And I thought, oh, it's nice, but John's lawyer knows Steve Howe's lawyer. And I told the lawyer, I said, man, Steve Howe's like my favorite guitar player. I mean, the guy can play classical, jazz, rock. The guy can play anything, anything with strings on it, he can play your bicycle, So anyway, Steve was appreciative of the compliment, and we got in touch, and then Steve put the guitar on it. He hadn't played with John in 15, 20 years, maybe something like that. Anyway, I sent it to John, and John says, oh, the classical guitar is great. I said, yeah, it's Steve. He's Steve who? Because Steve Morris also played on the record. Says Steve who? I said, Steve Howe. Oh, really? And then John had to reciprocate by writing a verse about how great it was to sing and play with them again. Right. And then they did the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So,
Anyway, just move this along. Also that trip to England where we played with Rick. After that show, we became such buddies. We went to Rick's house for dinner one night, and he had just written the score for a soccer movie called, what was it called? Goalie. Right. And then, so we did a record together, which is also on our website. We did Return to the Journey to the Center of the Earth, Catherine of Aragon,
Catherine Howard,
and Merlin the Magician.
Yeah.
So that's on our label as well. So we should probably move towards Anahata because we haven't even started on that yet.
Whenever you're ready, man.
Hey, Tim, So, Anahata basically was,
oh, he's got one, right?
Yeah.
I have the cover and I have the digital download. I don't have the actual album.
Oh, you give us the address afterwards. We're going to send it to you.
Oh, man. Thank you.
So what it is maybe in between takes or something, or I had a song and, whatever. He has like 4 songs and I've got 4 songs on it. Right. So it's like, we've got many more songs. We said, okay, let's put together sort of a thing about the eclectic thing that we do.
It's kind of, we always wanted to call it something about, archives, like over time, because they're all at different time frames in our lives, but the playing and the people that are on it bring it all together. It's all one thing now. Very, very, it's all gelled,
Yeah, so
like a grilled cheese, it's all melted together.
There's a couple powerful tracks on it. I mean, probably Shinkansen was the one that has gotten the most play so far because it's on Armed Forces Radio on a show as a theme song now.
It was
no kidding.
Called Honey Butter.
It was originally called Honey Butter, and I recorded that way back in the day with Chuck Leavell from the Stones playing piano on it.
Wow.
And then I updated it, and it really is an inspiration between the song, because we played a lot of Weather Report. We played it's a really kind of inspiration between Teen Town and Squib Cakes by
Tower Power.
Tower Power.
Yeah.
And so I got Tower to Power to play on it, as they played on a John's record. So I had them play on mine. And you know, it really is a moving tune. And Tim has one that's called the Chiba-chan, which was like a rhythm changes.
It was
tune.
originally called Thursday. I was working at the studio, Universal Studios, in one of the street bands, you know, and on the break, it was like, there's all these little side jobs around here you can do as a musician in Orlando, you know. And I wrote that like on the breaks one day and just put Thursday on it. And then we recorded it when we were in Japan. I met this little Japanese girl in Chiba, and Chan means baby. So I decided to call it Chiba Baby, Chiba-chan.
There you go.
And then Billy
I
played
lis-
it. Charlie DeChant played saxophone on it, and then Billy played drums on it, and it's a pretty crazy track.
I'm listening to the album and it pops in my head. I'm like, you know, it sounds as if Frank Zappa has taken over Spiral Gyra with Les Claypool on bass.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, you know, I think when I was writing that Chiba-chan, you ever heard that Weather Report record, the live 8:30?
8:30, yeah.
I don't know if I've heard that one.
At that tune, 8:30, it's only on that record. It's a live track. And that's kind of what I had in my head at the time when I wrote it. That kind of, you know, that kind of stuff. But and the one Just Say So I wrote years ago. We did a jazz camp back in the 80s at Wesleyan College, and we had Dave Liebman and David Baker and Frank Mantooth. These are all jazz guys.
These are all really famous
jazz educators,
guys.
you know.
Rock people don't know who these guys
Yeah,
are.
they're famous jazz guys. And I was in the A combo. I made the A combo, and David Liebman one day at the class said, everybody bring in an original song. So I brought in my song and we played. He goes, oh man, I like that song. It's ugly. He goes, okay, bring it, arrange it for 5 horns and bring it back tomorrow and we'll play it. And we ended up closing the whole camp with that song. And
Nice.
I wish I had a recording of it, but then we went in the studio and of course Mike did his mutation of my song.
I do mutations of his songs, which makes them great. You know, I mean, the Robby Steinhardt album, you know, it got nominated for Album of the Year, Song of the Year, written by Tim originally, and Album Cover of the Year. But it was a totally different song, and put it on a path of being Truth to Power, which is I don't know if you've heard that album. I'm gonna have to send you that one.
Oh
And
man,
Billy Cobham's on that album as well. Billy Cobham.
So,
Who else is on that one?
Ian Anderson,
Ian Anderson,
Billy Cobham, Pat Travers,
oh my God.
Bell,
Steve Morse.
Steve Morris, Lisa Fisher from the Stones.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's our
wow.
1,000 Hands template.
Yeah.
Get these songs, go, who would sound great on this fucking song?
You know, Jon Anderson calls me a casting director. You know, so,
I
okay,
can see why.
who would be good on this song? You know, because I mean, you know, it's great to have a band, but even
Yeah.
great bands, they have. I mean, the Beatles had Clapton play on stuff, and
Billy Preston.
Billy Preston.
Preston.
Yeah.
You know,
Studio guys playing the.
I mean,
the
look at
stuff.
Steely Dan. I mean, they don't have the same band for 2 songs.
They don't have the same band for 2 tours.
Right. They don't have the same band for 2 minutes.
You find the right people to play on it, and you say, you know, like there's one song on the album. My tune is called Maynard Vishnu. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's in fact, I didn't tell Billy Cobham what the name of the song was because I thought I'll wait
Yeah,
until
him and-
afterwards.
Him and McLaughlin don't.
No,
they don't
we
jive.
we don't know that. We don't know that. Anyway, so it was like a Maynard Ferguson tune, but it was not like Mahavishnu. So I called it Maynard Vishnu, and I gave it to Billy as song number 2. So he played on it, and then I got big, and It's pretty funny. But I was working on a song for Jon Anderson that was in 7. And I don't know what happened. I think John either didn't finish it or something. It was just sort of laying around my rhythm track. And then Robby Steinhardt was in the studio working on the Not in Kansas Anymore album. And I told Robby to play on that song. And I wrote down a part. He played it. And then that was the basis for starting the album, Not in Kansas Anymore. So he played on he was impressed. He was playing on a track with Billy Cohbam. And so, Robby, why don't we do a record? And then we started presenting some music, and next thing you know, we were off to the races with that one. And that was a great record to do. I'm really proud of that.
When Billy was here in the studio, he came in to play on Come Up for the John record. And the visit was so cool because he came in. Matt, our engineer and drum expert, had his kit totally set up exactly. Billy sat down, he played, he goes, "Okay, let's go to dinner."
Yeah, our engineer Matt Brown is like a really great drummer, and he like really studied Billy's kit. So imagine a guy comes in and he'd already out there with the headphones and already tested everything out. So when the cat sat down, it was perfect already. And Billy moved one drum and goes, "Okay."
So we went out to dinner, and the next day we started recording, and Billy sat down and he was playing something, and Mike says, "Well, Bill, you got to do a press roll at the beginning of the song so everybody knows it's you."
This identifiable, that thing always does.
And then he recorded the song. I mean, we weren't in the studio an hour.
No, he did 6 takes.
He did 6, but it was only an hour. I mean, I remember it wasn't that long. And then he goes, "Man, well, I'm all set up. Is there anything else you guys want me to record?"
All right. So this is funny. This is history, this one. So he goes out there and I said, "Look, I got this song. It's in 4/4 and then goes to 7/4. And I'll conduct it through the window where it is." He never heard the song before. So he goes out there, he's already all tested up. The song starts out and he's at there and he just goes in.
He does a solo.
He does the thing. And there's a part there where I started to put a thing in there where it actually was going to be Tim's solo. And
I got nixed.
So anyway, he's there and Billy's playing over where Tim would solo. And he's going, "Hey man, that's my solo." That's what I said. I said, "Shut the hell up. It's Billy Cohbam." Right.
Hey, John Lupani nixed one of my solos on the Jon Anderson record.
So anyway, he plays through the song, and really, I mean, he did such a marvelous job, and he got all the way to it was a decrescendo, and he actually even played the decrescendo.
It was a retard
all the way down to the. And then I walked out there, was going like, "Oh my God."
He goes, "Well, let's record it."
I said, "That's it.
That's
man.
it.
I'm not changing a note." "Really?" I said, "No, that's it." And that was the take. The same way Larry Coryell came in here and played on a song that I wrote for my mother. And my mother was a weird cat. I
was looking through her record collection because I have this box of records and CDs. It's all jazz. All jazz, James Taylor, Michael Franks,
Weather
Report,
Yellow Jackets,
and Andy Williams.
So Larry actually even played the old folks home where my mom was at when she was in hospice. And he was really a wonderful guy. So I'm working on the track and he comes in and he said, "What are you working on?" I said, "Well, it's a song for my mom." So that's the song called Ave for Josephine. And he went in there, took the acoustic guitar that was off of Tim's.
My acoustic guitar was hanging.
It wasn't even his stand. And he went and took it out there and he played one take. Magnificent.
When I met Larry, there's a local radio station, college radio station called UCF, and they do these live from Studio A, like once a month. Somebody's in town, they put him in this little booth and they do a live record. Well, back in like 94, 95, I had a foster daughter. A friend of mine had a child, and she was a drug addict, couldn't take care of her. So I was her foster, right? So we go to this thing, and the piano player that hired me for the Larry session, he couldn't read Larry's charts. Larry had all these arrangements. So we just ended up doing standards, And then, of course, Larry started asking me about, who's the girl? Oh, it's my foster daughter. I'm taking care of her, blah, blah. He goes, man, that's commendable. He goes, I was an orphan myself. And so we had this big, long conversation. He gave the kids a 20 to go to the vending machine. And we kept in touch over the years because of that conversation, And then he came into Orlando. He got remarried. And he came into a jam session that I was playing. And it was like, oh, Larry, So then I started playing gigs with him, In fact, I almost, who subbed for me because I couldn't make a gig? Victor Bailey. I couldn't make a gig, so Larry called Victor Bailey, the guy that he took Jocko's place.
He took Jocko's place.
He's passed now. He had some kind of debilitating muscular disease or something, but.
So on the jazz record, there's Larry's on it, Billy Cobb's on it, Tower of Power is on it.
Same thing with Tower of Power. They came in to record, and they do on the John record. They go, hey, we love this. You got anything else you want us to record?
Well,
that's awesome.
Yeah, the arrangement was
done. But the record is, it's not like one kind of thing. Tim's Tune the Wall is a pretty cool kind of crazy
acid jazz kind of thing. I wrote that when the Berlin Wall fell.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Ave for Josephine is basically a string arrangement. I play grand piano, Tim plays fretless bass, and Larry played acoustic guitar. Chiba-chan is like a big band with a vocoder, and Jim Gentry playing guitar, Billy playing drums,
Charlie DeChant on baritone.
And then there's a sort of a gospel tune that I wrote years ago that I was going to do with the singer D. Clark. I don't know if you know D. Clark. Yes. He had a song Raindrops.
Hey, little girl in a high school sweater.
And I wrote that for him as a vocal tune, and I ended up turning it into a jazz tune. It came out very well. And then the very last song is called Pavan for Deborah Ann, which is a song for my sister. I hate to be all these funeral dirges, but it's sort of a cosmic thing. And Tim played fretless throughout, on it. It's a lot of different stuff,
Yeah.
We got a rock album too coming out, but we wanted to get that out there because somebody's going to be using it for some soundtrack music.
Well, to me, it was like sitting in a jazz club, but listening to space age jazz or something. It was freaking. Don't you play stand-up bass on one of the songs?
Yeah, on Chiba-chan.
No, you played, and also on River Runs Through Memphis.
River Runs Through Memphis, yeah.
Okay.
And some bowed bass on Pavan for Deborah Ann.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, none of the songs sound the same. You've got more softer stuff on there, and then you got some, pick it up kind of tunes. But I have to ask, is there anybody that you haven't played with that you are wanting to play with?
The Beatles.
That may be a little difficult.
I did a gig with McCartney, and it was different, and had dinner with him. That was pretty special.
Well, I always wanted to play the Yes stuff, and we did that. We toured that in 2019, and that was a real treat, But boy, I tell you what, anymore the road is for young people. I don't want to be on a bus for 12 weeks again. You know what I'm saying?
Man, I couldn't imagine being with Yes. They're one of my favorite bands of all time.
Well, this band, the 1000 Hands band was 8-piece, violin, guitar, second keyboard that played.
Joe played everything. In fact, we're going to be doing an album with Joe. Joe Kostas was the I want to say the utility player on 1000 Hands. He plays trombone, trumpet, harp, guitar, banjo, oboe, and he's a great keyboard player. And we're doing an album with him.
And Rayford Griffin played drums on that tour, which was great to play with him.
Rayford Griffin, people know him from playing with John Luke Ponty.
John Luke Ponty and Stanley Clark.
Yeah.
What does Billy call him? Little upstart.
A little upstart.
Because he's very Cohbam-ish. You know what I mean? He's in that same vein, Yeah,
we just had Victor Wooten in here, doing a track for Victor Wooten on the John record. The new John record's got Joe Bonamassa, Bruce Hornsby, Victor Wooten, Return of Tower of Power, Trevor Rabin, Rick
Rabin,
Wakeman,
Trevor
Todd
Rabin.
Goodman.
Jerry Goodman.
Did you say Todd Rundgren?
Yeah,
Oh, no way.
yeah.
I love Todd Rundgren.
Yeah, he's great, man. One of my faves of all time. There's a guy I'd like to play with. I'm friends with his bass player. Kasim came and saw us at he lives in Staten Island. And we went and saw them at the plaza and hooked up because one of our singers used to date Todd
Really?
years ago.
And what a strange coincidence. So I know that our singer was with the Hard Rock Live band, used to date Todd, and so her name is Randy, and Randy's got sort of a degenerative eye thing. She can't see very well, so
retinal macula, something like that.
So anyway, I take her to go see Todd, and we're gonna go backstage. Anyway, I meet this woman at the front thing to go back to see Todd, and I didn't realize I'm telling her the story. This used to be one of Todd's girlfriends. It was
Todd's wife.
Todd's wife.
Oh my God, that's the lady he stole from Steven Tyler, right?
Right.
No.
That was
No?
Baby Buell.
Baby Buell, yeah.
Yeah, I
BB
couldn't remember her name.
This is his wife, Michelle. And the funny thing about it is I'm flying to Minneapolis to play with Jon Anderson. And I'm sitting next to this woman on the plane, and she's all like, Cyndi Laupered out, with the clothes and the whole bit. And I'm thinking she's got to be in entertainment somehow, So anyway, we get off the plane, and she said something to me, which started a conversation. And she said, "You got to be a musician," because I had like the music bag and the whole big with this. I said, "Oh yeah." She goes, "Oh, my husband's a musician." I said, "Who's he?" She goes, "Todd Rundgren." I said, "You're Michelle." And he says, "Yeah." And then we reconnected after.
So then he hooked up. Todd and John met in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And had dinner. Them and their wives had dinner together.
So then Todd played on a tune called "Go Screw Yourself," which we just call Screw.
We call it Screw.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny. We studied the version where John says "motherfucker." It's hilarious.
Jon Anderson says
"motherfucker."
And the weird thing is I was just listening to that song earlier today.
Which one?
Go Screw Yourself.
Really?
Yeah. Well,
yes.
it's going to be a bonus track. I mean, it's a song we put out there. I mean, it was quite a production. I put a lot of time into it.
It was a couple of different versions of it. I like the original one myself.
Yeah, well, this one came out a couple of years ago.
About 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Supposed to be on chapter 2, but John figured he wanted to put it out for political reasons. There's your politics.
Yes, let's move on. That's the problem, if you mention politics and you don't say the right thing to somebody, then you lose the audience.
Well, we know a lot of people that aren't politically aligned with us that we get along with them great. Professional.
I try.
They keep it out.
I have a partner who's a Texan, and we are total opposite ends of the political spectrum.
And they're best friends.
And we're best friends. The
Really?
thing is, I respect him because he's not so fucking stupid. I mean, there gets to be a point where if he was that stupid,
then you'd part ways.
We probably part ways.
Well, I've had a couple of people that, I would never not hire a guy because he was from the other side, but I know guys that would never hire me. You know what I mean? That I've had to unfriend and just cut ties with because they're so far off down the rabbit hole.
I have a friend who's
know.
The biggest Todd fan of all time, and he really wants to get connected with Todd. And I'm saying, man, you cannot, because Todd will crush. He will.
Did you see the White Knight tour?
No, I didn't.
Where he did the what was the name of the song?
Tinfoil Hat.
Tinfoil Hat. The man with the tinfoil hat. They did.
Right.
Have you seen that song?
I haven't.
YouTube.
I'm gonna have to look it up.
And I guess people left the show, some of the shows, because they were so upset. But he doesn't care.
It was just like, this is entertainment, and it's the way I see it.
He wrote it with Donald Fagen. It sounds like a Steely Dan tune.
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, it's a great song.
That White Knight album
is fabulous.
fabulous
Man.
record.
Really.
I mean, especially I love the song called "Come," the very first song of the record. Man, is a masterpiece.
Oh man, they're all the songs are. He does one with Daryl Hall. He does one with Donald Fagen. He does one with a rapper. I can't remember his
does
name.
one with Joe Walsh.
He does one with Joe Walsh.
Oh man, a
And
big Joe Walsh fan
You know,
too.
and I've been a Todd fan since Naz, and I've seen him
Yeah.
20 times, and every single time it's a different show.
Hey, you know,
Different concept, different record, different show.
we played with Joe on TV. We played with, you know,
There's a character.
there's a character, man.
I bet. I can only imagine.
In fact, I went to
That one's on YouTube.
yeah, there's a couple of us playing Ordinary Average Guy, Rocky Mountain Way,
Right.
Funk 49,
And
Walk This Way.
Walk This Way.
Yeah.
Oh,
Anyway,
wow.
so I you know, I've been good friends with Chuck Leavell for a long time. My wife and I we're going to go see the Stones in Europe this last summer, right?
Mhm.
So we flew over to England, but she's Chinese, and there's a visa war going on between China and the rest of the world. So
Yeah.
they canceled my 10-year visa, and she couldn't get a visa to come to Netherlands because the Chinese aren't giving Dutch the visas. So
Right.
she goes over there, and so one of my best friends who used to be our roadie,
The guy that brought us to England for that Rick Wakeman tour.
Yeah.
He drove us around. He was our tour guide. He was the guy that,
So-
ran everything.
so anyway, I couldn't
Stayed
get my
friends
wife.
for years.
I couldn't get my wife the ticket, so I gave the ticket to Rob Castle, and Rob and I flew to Amsterdam to see the Stone show. So Chuck said, "Hey, listen, man, we're in a COVID bubble, so I'll wave to you from the stage. I can't talk to you, right?" And you got to understand,
It's
they-
been like that for a couple of years.
yeah, they got millions of dollars wrapped up in that thing. If those guys get COVID, so anyway, we picked up our tickets and we go to the show. We're backstage, we're in the lounge and the whole
the
bit.
VIP. Yeah,
Ready
right,
for
right.
the show, and a guy comes in and says, "Ladies and gentlemen, sorry to say, Mick's got the COVID, show
Show
canceled." So
Oh man.
We flew to Amsterdam to see this stuff.
because I always ask Chuck, I said, "Hey, when you're doing a show," I said, "what city don't you have any friends in, so I can,
Yeah,
I
right,
can come,
right.
we can hang out, So anyway, we say, "Oh, what the heck? I'm in Amsterdam." So, we go down, we're going to go down to Centrum and have nice, Wiener Schnitzel and some beer and everything. We go down there, and I'm down there, and who do I run into? Joe Walsh.
No way.
So I got a picture of me and Joe. I said, "Joe, hey man, are you here to see the Stones?" F no. Okay. Are you here with Ringo? Mikey, I have a band. It's called the Eagles.
Our first experience with Joe, right? It's the night. It was a
The night before
New
the
Year.
TV
It was
show.
a New Year's Eve show. They
Right.
did this dual broadcast, simulcast, right, with SeaWorld and Little Darlings Rock and Roll Palace, right? But they didn't want to do 2 live shows, so we recorded ours in October. So we learned all Joe's stuff, and like the night before we're supposed to do the show, we decided to just play Joe's set, right, on our gig, and we're playing, and somebody yells up from upstairs, "Hey, I'll be down in a minute. I got my guitar." So Joe comes down and we do the whole set. It was hilarious. Hilarious.
And,
You know,
the director says to me, he goes, "Hey, Mike, could you get him to not sing the last verse of Rocky Mountain Way, because we want to do the credits over a solo. We don't like to do credits over vocals. They like solo out." So I went up and I said, "Hey, Joe, Rusty wants you to just solo out and not sing the last verse of Rocky Mountain Way, just fade out." And he goes, "Well, I'm here for the free drinks, basically."
I'm here for the free drink. I
oh
don't
my
care.
God. You know, I
I know we don't. Whenever the Stones or somebody are in town, it's like I'm friends with Jonathan Cain from Journey. We go down and see them in West Palm, because up here in Orlando or Tampa, his wife's church all go. So we don't even get to go, backstage or anything. So, the last time we saw them was won't be seeing them anymore soon.
No.
That's a
Yes.
mess.
Speaking of Joe Walsh, man, I love the James Gang.
Oh, yeah.
His early stuff is awesome. Eagle stuff is awesome. But I have to say, my favorite album was The Confessor.
Mm.
Every bit of that album was awesome.
I jammed with the James Gang. I used to spend a lot of time in Cleveland because I lived in Columbus, Ohio for a while, going to school. And I would go up to a place called De Fiore's Music. And Dale, the drummer and the bass player were jamming downstairs. And I got the chance to jam with them on some jam session. All the musicians would just pile in, you know. But, that's James Gang was some of my
first
favorite
time I
music.
saw them, Goose Lake Rock Festival, 1970. James Gang.
Wow.
James Gang, Chicago, New York Rock and Roll Ensemble, Brownsville Station.
Yes.
Oh, I was right hanging on the fence watching Ian Anderson, 1970.
Wow.
Man, 3 days.
You know,
I was in diapers.
Well, I probably should have been. I'm going to be again soon. So,
Yeah,
But
you start
you're out.
off in diapers and you end up in diapers. I
That's right.
totally understand.
but I mean, we've got a lot of stuff to do beforehand. I mean, I think that having a lot of work and just pushing a lot of work. I mean, I heard a great quote this morning. I got to go find it. What a beautiful quote I heard about the carrot in life, about having something to do. A lot of guys lose their minds. They retire at 55 or 60.
It's
or
like, look at
whatever.
John. John's going to be 78,
79.
79 in October, correct? And he writes a song like every week, and he just keeps going out.
Keep
He
your
doesn't
mind
wanna-
going.
He doesn't want to stop.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we want to work smarter. Anymore. I'm turning down gigs that are hard. I don't want to lug equipment. I don't want to play with people that I don't really want to play with. We're going to work with Blues Image this year, Tommy
Wow.
and
Bad-
Joey Mullen from Badfinger.
Yeah. So
That's who our mainstays are this year.
Jeez. Hey, you guys ever heard of Godsmack?
Yeah.
Yep.
Have you heard their version of Rocky Mountain Way?
No.
No.
Oh, look it up, man. That and Time from Pink Floyd, they redo that. One of the best remakes I've ever heard.
They're
Yeah,
coming
so-
to town, aren't they? Godsmack.
Yeah. Tracy called me wanting to get tickets.
A drummer friend of ours his girlfriend's really into him and wanted to know if we knew anybody who could get them free tickets, get them free tickets.
Well,
Don't know promoters.
if you meet Sully, make sure you pass my name on along to him, okay?
You owe him any
It's,
money?
No, but I'm
Cash.
a big Godsmack fan myself, so. So you got a rock album coming out after this?
We've got sort of the same thing. We've written so many songs, him and me. We've written many songs and we've recorded them up, and sometimes we don't see anything to do with it. We sort of develop what to do with our other artists. But
Well, the one on Robbie's record, Truth to Power, was originally on our record, but we gave it to him because it fit perfect. Changed some of the lyrics.
yeah,
And
it was
a
all
very-
totally different song lyrically,
Yeah.
But and another song that I wrote a long time ago, called Downtown Royalty. I redid it for the Robbie album because we had some songs that would fit the map.
Yeah, if you like Yes, you'll like that record a
Oh, yeah.
lot. Really, it's very well. We call it a prog opera. It's about
Oh, nice.
it's not in Kansas anymore. It's all about him not being in Kansas anymore. It's a Wizard of Oz theme throughout the whole thing, artwork and
Oh.
everything.
No way. Well, you guys have such a high energy. Do you not in Kansas anymore? Oh yeah. Gonna have to check that out. I feel blessed. But you guys have such a high energy. Do you have to have anything to inspire you, or you're just inspired all the time?
Espresso.
Well, you know what? That's a good question because, he knows that I can write a song. If you said, I need a song about this by Friday, I'll go and I'll come up with something. But having so many songs not recorded or not published or not put out there, it's kind of, it's hard to decide what to do next. So he's producing my record coming up here.
I would dream a concept, and then I would come over and tell him about it, and then next thing you know, he'd write the basis of a song, and then we would do our Lennon and McCartney thing, right?
Mhm.
And then we produce it in something. We got a couple really great songs that are, that we're getting to different people. I mean, I just did one. I found a cassette tape about 3 weeks ago in my tape closet, and it's Lonely Nights. What the heck is this? I put it on and realized it was a song I wrote like 40 years
And
ago.
I remember it when you played it. I said, I remember that song.
And then we just recorded it with Little Anthony, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame guy, Little Anthony from Little Anthony and the Imperials.
Mhm.
And so it's a work in progress, but it's a pretty good song. And, so sometimes they find their way. We did 2 albums with a girl from Chicago named Ellen Dolak. Fantastic songwriter. The girl's given me 500 songs. All the songs.
Wow.
So,
Jeez.
so I took, I don't know, 10 of the songs, and I redid it with this great singer from China called Fei Peng. And it's a great record.
It's on our label too.
Yeah.
So right now I played in a big band on Sunday. Last night I played with a piano bar guy. Friday I'm playing with Christy DeLuca, that's on our label, indie rocker kind of. And then Saturday I'm doing my own band. And about 2 weeks ago, I was just walking around my house. I couldn't decide what to do. So I hooked the keyboard up to my Logic, and I wrote my first symphony.
Oh.
I was in that room for 4 or 5 days. Just, I'm not a keyboard player, so I'm doing it like,
Me, I play the studio. That's my instrument.
So he's going to produce it. Of course, he's going to take it and fuck it up the right way.
Like I said, he said, we've got a couple concerts to do this year. You're familiar with the band Blues Image?
Yes, I am.
So we've done, we are in Blues Image. We have been in Blues Image for about 30
We'll
years.
send you that record as well. We
Wow.
just redid, he produced it, Inagata DeVito with horns, because Mike was in Iron Butterfly as well, Panera. And all Blues Image stuff. It's really good.
Got
I'll
it.
send you a package, and then we can do another podcast in the future.
You guys are welcome anytime on this show. Believe me.
Cool.
And by the way, if you get into San Antonio, if you go along the Riverwalk, there's a great piano bar there. I don't know if the same guy is playing, but I went in and I was joking with him, and I was like, "Hey, play Piano Man." And he starts playing the song, and he gets to the one verse and says, "And I could be a porno star if she would just sit on my face."
But you're just north of Austin, right?
I'm south of Austin. If you go to, do you know where New Braunfels is?
Well, I mean, I was just thinking of Cedar Park is north of Austin.
Yeah, Cedar
You're
Park
not
is north.
Park
I'm in Kyle, Texas, which is south of
Yeah.
Austin. My wife, her new job, it was closer to live here and for her to get to work. But if you're familiar with like San Marcos and New Braunfels, we're about halfway between Austin and New Braunfels.
Have you ever
About
been to the
20
Elephant
minutes.
Room in Austin?
No, I haven't been in there.
Jazz room.
Well,
a friend of mine runs that.
I'll be coming to Austin sometime in the near future. I got a music project I got to do some business about. So I'll be coming to Austin, which is a pretty crazy
That will
place.
be a podcast in itself.
Probably.
Yeah,
It's a pretty
we have a saying here in Kyle. It's keep Austin weird and keep the weird in Austin.
big.
Yeah, and don't Austin or Kyle. So
Austin,
Well, I appreciate the interest, and
Yeah,
we're
man.
gonna have to thank the great Billy James. I think
Yes, he's awesome.
Billy's done a lot of great stuff for us. He's a wonderful guy, and
There he is.
you send me your address, and I will send you a package.
I'll definitely do that. You guys have a website?
I do. www.timfranklinmusic.com.
I'm at
Okay.
michaelfranklin.com.
And the record company is solarmusic.com.
All right. I'm gonna put those in the description so everybody can
Also-
find
also-
you easy.
Michael T. Franklin at Wiki is a pretty complete bio.
All right. You guys have social media?
Yeah, yeah, we got the
Yeah, I got a couple of I got a personal page, and I've got a Tim Franklin is a music page, but I don't put much stuff up there. It's kind of,
my assistant's got me on everything. I'm on, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, Yellow It. I don't know, whatever. I'm on a lot of stuff.
yeah, I don't do any of that stuff. I'm just,
He does it all.
Yeah.
I haven't done anything on social media in 3 or 4 months. I just kind of gave up on it.
Yeah.
You know.
Tweeting, my son's into Snapchat and Instagram, and I just don't care.
Yeah.
Well, if I make a nice
You're
dinner,
Tin-
I'll
you're
take
into Tinder. Come on.
I'll take no, I'll take a picture of some great food and put it up on Facebook, or I have these beautiful sandhill cranes wandering around my property, or my chickens or something, just goofy stuff.
Thank you guys again for being on the show. And I also want to thank all you folks out there. If you are new to the channel, well, I hope you'll come back. Please hit that subscribe button. For my regulars, you guys rock because you make it possible for me to do this. Until the next one, everyone, please take care. Be kind to one another. God bless and peace.